Managing cookies in ASP.NET MVC application. Now that we understand that with every request, cookies are submitted by browser to server, and with a response if required, a cookie can be added from server to browser. We have to see now how can we manage these cookies through code. For this, we have got request.cookies collection, response.cookies collection. So whenever we want to get a cookie from the request, we are going to use request.cookies collection. And likewise, whenever we want to add a cookie to the response, we are going to use response.cookies collection. So in this collection, we have to manage object of type HTTP cookie. So either we are going to get or we are going to add. In all cases, it will be an object of type HTTP cookie. Now, there are certain important things we have to take care of. One, a cookie if added to the response and if it was already existing on the client with the same name, response is going to override that cookie with the new cookie properties. If the key matches, name and other properties will be overriding it. And very importantly, we cannot remove object from these objects in these collections and expect them to be removed. For example, if I remove a cookie from request.cookies collection using request.cookies.remove, don't expect that cookie to be automatically removed from the client machine, because request.cookies is a collection created with name and value pairs submitted by browser to server on server. Removing from cookies collection does not remove anything from browser. So the only way we can destroy a cookie on the client machine is by overwriting a cookie with an expired date, something like yesterday or so whatsoever. So here we have got cookie API. Let me demonstrate with proper example. I'll create a new project, cookies demo app. Home controller, and here we'll go to index, and let us design our interface for creation of a cookie. We'll create a form, action, method, all fine. And here now, let us say name, input type text, txt key, value, where I'm going to accept the value for a cookie. Now, should the cookie be secured or not? Input type text, or let's take this as checkbox, is secured. Should it be a persistent cookie or not? Let us not worry about domain and path, and we can have here input type is equal to submit. We want to create a cookie. Now, like this, I would like to have now multiple submit button, and each submit button I would like to perform different actions. But problem here is for all the submit buttons, the action is same. So I'll take now the help of, let us say this is create, this is for get, this is for setting a this is for remove a cookie by some name, and this is to get all the cookies. But again, as I said, the basic problem with all of them is all of them as of now are going to execute same action method, which we don't want. We want them to all execute different action methods for each one of them. So what I'll do is, in my home controller, I will write separate method for each one of them, and here I will give action, form action, that's a HTML5 feature. So now this will go to create slash, rather home slash create. That's what we want to submit to, home slash create. So like this, in this case I would like to submit to home slash get, home slash remove, and home slash get all. So these are 4 different methods which I have to write with HTTP post support: create, get, remove, get all, and all of them are going to return back to the same view, that is index view. So I write create, get, remove, and also I want is get all, and all this after performing their action will return back to index view. So this index I'll keep it common in all these 4 methods. So 4 different API functionalities we are going to see how to implement here. So how to create a cookie? To create a cookie, first create an object of HTTP cookie is equal to new HTTP cookie, and here we are supposed to give name. Now where do we get the name from? The best thing I'll do is, there are 2 options now. One is I simply mention here form collection, and from the form collection, based on these keys, I'll take the cookie. Say here key, here value, is secured. These are all going to become keys. Or I should write a separate class, and from the class these should be all properties for accessing it. So I'll take the shortcut route. I'll use form collection. So here I can write collection of the key dot toString, or maybe that's it. So I created a cookie by the name submitted in key. Cookie value is supposed to be collection of the value. So name value, will better change it to lowercase, we'll keep a standard naming convention. Then we will say cookie dot secured is equal to collection of is secured, which has to be checked whether it is secured or not. What is the value I have given? Collection of is secured, value I have given is secured. So I'll check if collection of secured is equal to secured, then it's true, else cookie dot secure is equal to false. Similarly, if collection of is persistent is equal to, the value I have given is persistent. If it is persistent, now how to make the cookie persistent? To make the cookie persistent, we have to set expires. So I can give date time dot now dot add days, let us say 1. Now when we don't set expires, automatically it becomes a non-persistent cookie. And when we do not set domain, current domain is going to be the default value of it. So I have how many properties? Name of the cookie, value of the cookie, secured property, expires, and domain. And path, it is always recommended to give it as request dot application path. So wherever this application is deployed, that path will become the path of the application. In this case, of course, it is going to be root slash, because we are directly hosting it in the root application only. But we are going to see sometime later in the deployment that we can host the application in subdirectories of the root. So in such case, that becomes the application path. So cookie will be sent to only that application from where it was generated and not to other applications on the same website. So this is all for creation of the cookie. Now once the cookie is created, how do we get it? So same story, when I click on get, we would like to get the cookie here. So from the collection, from the request rather, we'll try to first get the cookie. So request dot cookies collection, I'll try to get a cookie by the name of the key. So from request dot cookies collection, we are passing the key from the form collection, and we'll check if we got the cookie or not. The cookie can be either null, in which case it has not come, or it can be not null, in which case we can use cookie.value and get the value of the cookie. So what I'll do is I'll say viewBag dot cookie is equal to not available, else viewBag dot cookie is equal to cookie.value. We'll either take it when it is not there, we are putting a static text, but when it is there, we are putting this. So obviously from here it goes back to view by name index, and in index, let me put here some HR, and we'll put value is equal to @viewBag dot cookie. Then how do we remove a cookie? Removing of a cookie is same as adding of a cookie. Oh, very important thing I forgot here. We created a cookie, but we never added to the response. We have to compulsory add a cookie to the response. That means we have to add it to the cookies collection. Otherwise, it will not be there in the response. Unless you add it to the cookies dot response collection of cookies, it will not be available. So now the same code I'll copy in case of remove also. Of course, we don't need any conditions. Secured stuff, we are not interested. Persistent is what we have to play with. Value, we are not interested. Of course, here also we should give form collection first, because we want to get the key. And add days, I'll give -1 now. We should have key with the same name, what we are submitting for destroying, and we should have yesterday's date. So -1 I gave. Application path should remain as it is. At the time of creation, whatever path was given, it is mandatory that we give the same path at the time of destroying also. And that's it. And now finally I would like to implement get all. Now how do we get all the cookies? Again, to get all, we want now, let us say first I will have a string into which I would like to get all the cookies along with their key and value pairs. So for this we'll use for each. For each string key in request dot cookies. Now small point to be noted here. Generally, whenever we are iterating through the collection, we expect object of type collection, object which is added here to get here. But in case of request.cookies, what we are going to get is key, and what we are not going to get is HTTP cookie. In routine programming, what we add to cookies is a HTTP cookie object. So when we are iterating through cookies collection, what we should also get is HTTP cookie, but we don't get like that. We get key, and based on the key we have to get the value. How? Let's say s plus equal to, first I take the key as it is, plus I want the value. So for value, request dot cookies of key dot value, plus to display all of them together, I'll display break. And this I'll put it in view back. So this finishes our code. Let's run it now. Name, right now let's say get all. We haven't got anything because there are no cookies. Let's create one, C1 with value V1. We don't want it to be secured, but it should be a persistent cookie. Say create. C2, V2, non-persistent, create. C3, V3 is secured, is persistent, create. Now try to get all of them first. We got C1 V1, then break C2 V2, but we did not get C3 V3. Actually here we don't need to write break, we can directly give /n. No, break is fine, but what is happening is this is getting encoded. We don't want this to be encoded to display the string as it is. So what should do? HTML.raw. In raw format we would like to display the value of this. So now again press Ctrl F5. Directly this time we can say get all, and we are getting the name value pair. So yes, some small changes. Run again. Now if you remember, we created C1 V1 as a persistent cookie and C2 V2 as a non-persistent cookie. So right now we are getting both, and we also created C3 V3 as secured and persistent, but we are not getting that here. Why? Because for the simple reason it is not HTTPS. By default what is here is HTTP : it is by default this. It is not HTTPS, and moreover I cannot type HTTPS right now for the reason that I do not have a certificate installed on my web server. If we have a certificate installed on the web server, this would have worked. So yes, secured cookie is not coming back as a collection of all cookies from browser to server. And moreover, for a given cookie if you want to get, yes, you can do that. C1 we got value V1, C2 we got value V2. Now I close the browser. Current instance I am closing all the tabs. Now I run fresh. When we run fresh, what we will notice is C1 is not there at all. Sorry, C1 is persistent, so it is there. C2 is not available in the request because it was a non-persistent cookie. With the closure of that browser instance, it automatically got destroyed. Only persistent cookie remained. So I closed the browser, restarted, along with the request the cookie is going. Now, in case we want to study how the cookies are traveling, we can do this. We can track the network back. Now, let us say I want to get all the cookies. A request sent for get all. And here we can go to cookies. C1 is equal to V1. With every request, what is the cookie submitted? We are able to study in the browser itself. C4, V4 is persistent, create. And you see, this time a cookie was added. Along with the request went only one cookie, but then there is one more cookie added in the response. C4 with the value V4 expires, and path. Domain obviously is the default, that is current domain. Because it is not given, automatically it becomes a current domain. Now, I copy this URL, same, rather home page only, and I use, let's say get all first here. We have C1 and C4. You can actually study that here. Now go to I. Same URL. Now say get all and we get nothing. Why? Persistent cookie of Firefox cannot be used by I. I will have a separate set of cookies and firewall will have its own separate set of cookies. Both will not match. So very precisely remember, with this example explains you how you can create a cookie. Basically we have learned API. How we have created a cookie by creating a cookie object, setting the properties of it, and most importantly adding the cookie to the response collection. We have learned how to get a value of a particular cookie, and of course is that there in the request.cookies collection or not there, we can figure out. How to remove a cookie? We cannot remove a cookie by removing it from the cookies collection. Instead we have to create a new cookie, add it to the response with an expired date, retaining the path of that particular cookie. And to get all the cookies, we have to iterate through request.cookies collection, getting one cookie at a time. But what we are going to get is key, and based on the key we should further get the cookie and its value. So 4 different methods, and very importantly I also explained you here, form action is a special feature of HTML5, which is for every button we can have a different action attribute. Instead of using the default action, we are now using separate action for each and every button. So with this as the base of our example, knowledge on cookies, we are going to subsequently develop another example where we are practically going to use cookies for login. Thank you.